Hi, this is Mark Littleton, the minister of the Word for the Athens Church of Christ, with today's 3-minute sermon. During the month of April, we are journeying together through the Gospel of John. And every day on our 3-minute sermon, I'm just sharing something with you from John's Gospel that I think would benefit us as we try to remain connected with God and His Word during this time. I want to share something with you today in John chapter 4. If you have your Bible sometime today, read John chapter 4, verses 1 through 26. There, John records this very interesting conversation between Jesus and a Samaritan woman. The reason this conversation is so very interesting is really twofold. For one, this is a woman Jesus is talking to. In that culture, it just wasn't appropriate for men to engage in conversation with a woman who was a stranger in public. You just didn't do that. And then at an even deeper level than that, this woman was also a Samaritan. The Jews as a race and the Samaritans as a race did not like each other. In fact, they despised one another. And there was a lot of history that led to that. But suffice it to say, if you were a Jewish man, you would not talk to a woman who was a Samaritan in public. You just didn't do that. And yet Jesus stops and talks to this Samaritan woman. He begins the conversation by just asking her for a drink from the well that they're standing beside. And he's really not looking so much for water from her. As you keep reading through the conversation, Jesus is trying to get her to think not of physical water, but of the spiritual water of life that he wants to offer to her. They begin to have this conversation, and he tells her to go and call her husband. And she says, I have no husband. And Jesus says, you're right. You've had 5 husbands. And the one you're with right now, he's not your husband. He tries to get her to come face to face with who she's been and who she is. And they begin to converse even further. And finally, this woman is convinced this is the Messiah. And he is offering me the water of life. And she goes back to her village and she tells everyone that she has found the Christ. I think this text and this story is important for a couple of different groups of people today. One of them is, if you are a follower of Christ, this story, I think, is very instructive to us. Sometimes we're very selective in who we're going to talk to about Jesus. We think certain people wouldn't be interested, and we just can't talk to those people, whoever those people are in our minds. And yet this text says, no, there's no one who doesn't need to hear about Jesus. Even that Samaritan woman, right? She needs to hear about Jesus too. So don't be selective in who you're going to talk to about Jesus. But I think this text also speaks powerfully to maybe those people who don't know Jesus and don't think they could ever really have a relationship with Jesus because of their past. This lady had a past. She had a past. And Jesus brings her face to face with that past so that she can own it and deal with it, but so that she can also find forgiveness from it. I don't know where you are and who you are today. I don't know what you think about Jesus and whether you think you could ever have a relationship with him because of what you've done and where you've been. You haven't done enough and you haven't been so far that you are not within the reach of the grace of Jesus Christ. He's there and the water of life is there. You just got to take it. Hope you have a blessed day. Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow for another 3-minute sermon. God bless.